guys, it's me, Min. Today I'm back with another book review. Today's book is called Savvy. So if you see the cover, it's like there's lots of weather pictures in here, and you will know why there's lots of weathers in here when you read this book. I'm going to tell you why, like a little bit later. There's an orange school bus going down the road. I thought it was pink, but it is actually orange, like that. It is actually orange. See, it's orange. And so I'm going to tell you some things I'm going to tell you first about the main character. So this is what I'm going to do today. First, I'm going to tell you like some ideas, some things about the characters that comes in this book. And the next one, second, I will tell you why there's lots of pictures of weathers in this cover. And next, I will tell you. Lastly, I'm going to tell you the part that I was. I think I'm better going to do tell you a little bit of this story and redo the part I was very impressive of. This book was very touching me. I actually cried at the last parts. I'm going to tell you that later. So right now I'm going to introduce the characters who are in this book. First, I'm going to tell you about the main character. She's called Mississippi Beaumont. I thought it was Beaumont. It's Beaumont. It says back there. I actually didn't know well about Mississippi because, if you first start reading the book, it just says about her name. They mention her name as Mips, so I was curious about what her real name is, so I kept reading on, and there was her name there, Mississippi Beaumont. I said it right now. And next one, she has a big family, and she has a super duper great power running on the Beaumont family. That's the thing I'm going to tell you now. It's called the Savvy. The Savvy is like a magical power. So their mother, all the Beaumont children's mother and father, just the mother has a Savvy, and his dad has, their dad doesn't have a Savvy. But still, he was really mentioned as very special, as a special daddy here. And the dad impressed me and touched me. Because I'm going to tell you now about the dad. Why that the dad touched me. So, at the first, almost the first, some chapters that was very first said that their father gets in a car crash, a big one, and he was really sick. He was really hurt. He was damaged, and so he went to the hospital. At first, I thought he passed away, but he didn't. If we go to the last part, like the almost the last chapter, his father was alive. So, I had something I missed about Mississippi. She had her savvy. Her savvy is that she can read minds of people. If they have any particular, just any kind of ink on their skin, she can read their minds. That's what she did, like, in the whole time in this story. In the last timer, his dad. His dad has a tattoo here in his ankle, in his arm. He has this one tattoo, and it's a picture of a little mermaid. And so in the last part, she said she heard her father saying, "I didn't give up." So that means that he was alive, and the doctors and mothers and all the other Bowman children thought he was dead, but he wasn't, and so he came back to the family. That part was really touching. So if we read this story and then see why it touched me, you'll get touched too. That was really, really touching part. And so Fish is another member of the Bowman family. He has a savvy of controlling weathers. He can make wind. He can make even a hurricane. Sometimes he can make a storm, rain, any kind of weather. So that was cool, savvy. And there's a will there, but he is not actually one of the Bowman's members. He was not one of the Bowman's member, but he really liked the main character, who is Mississippi, and so, at the back, Mississippi likes him back too. He's really sweet. Yeah. And there's a Bobby there. She's also not a Bowman's. She was she's a teenager. At first I thought she was very mean. But if we read it, we can see that she's actually not that mean. She was just a lonely girl that tattoos. So that's also something Mississippi read from her tattoo. It was a temporary tattoo, but she could still read her mind. And next one, there's Samson. He's a sweet boy. He doesn't talk much. He doesn't talk much, and he has a little turtle, which is also dead, and he still thinks that he is hibernating, but he's believing that he's hibernating, but it isn't. But the family members don't say actually that the turtle is not hibernating, because it might hurt his feelings. And there's lots of characters going down there. I want to tell you two more, Lester and Lil. Lester was the one who was who made a ride for Mississippi, Bobby, Samson, Will, and then Fish. And then Lil is like a little angel to him. So that was the character, telling about the characters. And then let's quick go into oh, I'm going to tell you about this. I said a fish could control weathers. So that's basically why there is lots of weathers going here in this book cover, and I don't think I need to tell you much about that anymore. So let's go right into the third part, which I'm going to tell you the part that was touched. I actually said that to you, but I actually said that, so I'm going to read it to you right now. So it's here on the chapter 34. So that's the part they finally go into Salina Hope Hospital, where her father was there. Okay, so I'm going to read you from here, where she asks Papa, right there. Let's see. There, do you see it? So I'm going to read you from there. Papa, Mama's face dropped. The warm smile she'd greeted us with vanishing for a half second before being replaced with a very different kind of smile. The kind of smile born from love and sorrow, and the desire to protect us all from our very worst fears. It's good you're all here now, Mama said softly. Whew. It was a mistake for me not to bring you with me in the first place. But Mama, I said, you don't make mistakes. Mama's face pinched and tightened as she tried not to cry. Oh, Mibs, she said, pulling me to her again. I can make awfully perfect mistakes. Rocket dropped his head and stared at the floor, his knuckles white and his jaw clenched as the lights in the waiting room dimmed and pulsed once but did not burn out or shatter. I'll let you all say your goodbyes, Mama said, letting go of me and wiping her eyes. Then we'll all go up to see Papa. Let's just go now, implored Fish, picking up Gypsy and grabbing Mama's arm. But Mama stood firm, running a hand absently through Fish's messy hair. She continued, nothing will change in the next 2 minutes, Fish. You can say goodbye to your friends. A sobbing wail drew my attention. Nearby, Miss Rosemary was trying to rein in her dripping tears. She dabbed her eyes with a white handkerchief, and Tick turned squeezing Will and Bobby to her, while Pastor Meeks kept his eyes closed and his eyes clasped together, looking as though he might be sending up a silent and mighty prayer of thanks. Bill had joined us all inside the waiting area, hanging back a little during the emotional family reunion, watching keenly as Miss Rosemary clucked over Will's black eye like a mother hen. But when Pastor Meeks finished his prayer and opened his eyes, he reached out a hand, giving Bill's a firm shake and pulling him into the group with a hearty thump on the back. As soon as Bobby could, she detached herself from her mother and sidled closer to Rocket with a smile. Looking at the way my brother's t-shirt stuck to him was static. So it's getting a little bit sad from there. I mean, I was a little bit sad like from here, but I'm going to go where that really, really touched me. So, okay, okay, so let's read from here. Mama led us across the hall toward a half-open door, passing a maintenance man on a ladder who was in the ceiling, stopping with her fingers wrapped around the door handle. Mama looked each of us in the eye as though she was reeling us into her, trying to hold us close with her gaze. Mama said Fish, with just a trace of wind blowing on the hair out of his eyes. Papa hasn't woken up yet. Not yet, Fish, Mama said. Not yet. Then, sharing a sorrowful, knowing look with Grandpa and taking a deep breath, she continued slowly, choosing each word carefully. The doctors say, well, they say he may not. Then she added quickly, but we will keep hoping and praying, of course. Because if nothing else, those are things we can all do. As I felt as though the earth was going to open up and swallow me, and I wondered if Grandpa was shaking the ground, or it was only my legs quaking beneath me. Mama looked quickly toward Fish, past experience readying her for his storm. But aside from a smattering of rain against the windows just beyond the nurse's station, Fish was holding it together. I suppose it could have been the numbing shock of Mama's words that dampened Fish's safety, or even Samson's hands in his. Perhaps it was Fish's own brand new scumbling strength. But standing there outside Papa's room, not even a breeze tickled the air. Mama looked then at Rocket. I'll be okay, she reassured her. I can go in this time. Please, Mama. It will be worse if you make me stay out. At first, Papa didn't even look like Papa. His bald head was wrapped around and round of bandages. He had wires and tubes and machines to help him do everything. And his face was pale and sagging. Every one of us found another person's hand to hold as we stepped closer to Papa's bed. He had a tube in one arm and a blood pressure cuff wrapped around the other. Wires and sensors were attached to him everywhere, and his pointing finger looked like it had a big fat clothespin on it. Papa's arms rested outside his blankets. His hands lay palms up like he was reaching for help. I felt as though I'd forgotten how to breathe. The normal, simple act of filling and emptying my lungs became the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I was afraid to swallow, knowing that it would unleash the flood of tears that burned behind my eyes. Mama took the jar from Rocket, tightening the lid of a quarter turn to lower the volume and keep the nurses from rushing in to shush us, but her hands trembled as she did it. I rubbed my knuckles gently against Papa's jaw, feeling the scratchy stubble of his unshaven chin. Then I dropped my hand to his arm. I ran my shaking hands lightly down Papa's arm and stopped with one finger pressed against the inside of his wrist as though checking for a pulse. In that moment, I couldn't help remembering the homeless man by the dumpster behind the Emerald Truck Stop Diner and Lounge. That man had been asleep too, asleep and totally alone, totally hopeless. He'd had no one to play songs for him, no one to listen, no one to care. But Papa had all of us, and we would never let him go. "Mips," said Fish hardly loud enough for me to hear. I looked up at my brother, who tapped his own forearm meaningfully, then nodded at Papa. "Miss Mermaid, Mips," he whispered. "What about Miss Mermaid?" Samson looked at me too, his dark eyes round. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten. How could I forget about Papa's faded navy tattoo? How could I have forgotten Miss Mermaid? I listened hard for that mermaid's voice inside my head. I traced her long green tail with the tip of my finger. Then I closed my eyes tight and tried to hear what Papa might be thinking, what Papa might be feeling, what Papa might be dreaming or wishing or knowing. Listened and listened and listened. But there was nothing. No voices in my head. No Papa at all. I heard the rasp of metal against glass as Fish struck against his tears, reached out to close the lid all the way on Grandma Dollop's jar, stopping short the never-ending love song. I wasn't sure if he closed the jar to help me hear Papa or to keep all of our hearts from tearing into pieces. Without that song, so much stillness filled the room that I felt as broken and dark as all of Rocket's busted light bulbs. Then I leaned over Papa's bed with an enormous care and whispered into his ear. "Listen to me now, Papa. It's time for you to hear my voice inside your head. You may think you've got no savvy, Papa, but you're wrong. You do have a savvy. You do." I thought back to everything I knew about Papa. I thought back to the story of how he'd met and courted Mama, never giving up until she finally agreed to marry him, even after Aunt Diana had told him to shove up. I thought back to the world's largest porch swing and how Papa always vowed that he felt all us one, all our own. I remembered Papa coming home from work late because he had been determined to pick out the very best special occasion dress he could find. "You do have a savvy, Papa. You do," I repeated over and over into his ear. "You never give up, Papa. Not ever. That's your savvy. You never, ever give up." I wished that Papa could hear me. I wished that Papa would listen. Then I bent down and kissed Papa's forehead. "Give up," said a faint voice inside my head. I opened my eyes. Samson's hands rested lightly on Papa's shoulder. "Don't give up," the voice said again, a little louder now. I looked at Samson. I wasn't sure I'd ever seen my little brother cry before. He'd always hidden everything away so well, but he was crying now, making neither a sob nor a sound. Don't give up. Miss Mermaid shivered and swished her tail ever so slightly, as though the effort was almost too great. I don't give up. The voice in my head was louder yet. Papa, I shouted, certain now that it wasn't just me hoping. The voice came from Papa and Miss Mermaid. Papa, that's right, you don't give up. Can you hear me, Papa? It's me, Mips. Rocket put his hands on my shoulders and tried to quiet me, but I shook him off. Grandpa rose up out of his chair with a stern look. Papa, can you hear me? Don't give up, I shouted again. Mips, stop yelling, said Rocket. This is a hospital. He can hear me, Rocket. I know he can, and I can hear him. Mips, Papa's not even conscious. Rocket raised his own voice now, sounding tired and vexed. But I ignored him and kept yelling to Papa's ear. Mips, shouted Rocket, trying again to pull me away from Papa. Without warning, all of Papa's buzzing, roaring, swooshing machines and monitors went berserk. Sparks popped from the equipment, and the up and down rhythm of the line on Papa's heart monitor and went flat with a single terrifying tone. Rocket turned completely white. A horrified look contorted in his face, and he began to back out of the room, bumping into Fish and Mama, who had heard of all the commotion and come running. They were followed in by the nurse in the rainbow scrubs. Everyone needs to clear this room immediately, said the nurse. No, I shouted. Papa needs me. I can hear him. More nurses flooded the room, and an orderly tried unsuccessfully to pry my fingers loose from Papa's bed, while a doctor pushed his way through the crowd to check Papa's heart. Mips? Yes, Papa, I'm here. I squeezed Papa's hands. He could hear me. Papa knew I was there. Mips? I can hear you, Papa. It's Mips. It's your little... I stopped myself before I could finish saying little girl. I didn't feel like a little girl anymore. I wasn't one. It's Mips, Papa. I'm here. Papa's fingers twitched and his eyes fluttered open, making the doctor smile and Mama cry out loud. Rocket choked on his own tears, and Fish whooped and hollered. Feeling Samson's head in mine, I knew sure as that everything was going to turn out just fine. Whew. So that was a long story. And it was just even 2 chapters. I mean, 1 chapter. So that was long. And so that was the part I felt touched. And so that was it of my book review of Savvy. Bye!